What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Jon Jones reminding fans of his legacy. 2 years ago, after securing the final victory of his historic career, then UFC lightweight champion Khabib Nurmagomedov declared in his post-fight Octagon interview that he deserved to be the #1 on the UFC's pound-for-pound rankings list. Ever since then, the talks surrounding the Eagles' place on the pound-for-pound greatest of all time list have continued to surface, and while some believe that Nurmagomedov's perfect 29-0 record and incredible 13-fight unbeaten streak in the UFC earn him the right to be called the greatest of all time, others believe that that title still belongs to Jon Jones, who has long been considered by many to be the pound-for-pound king. Recently, Jones posted an image sent to him by a friend on Twitter. The image of the pair side by side with their respective UFC championship belts compares Nurmagomedov's 13-fight unbeaten streak in the UFC with Jones's 14 title fight wins in the UFC. Jones captioned the picture, "One of my friends texted me this. I just figured I would throw it up on my Twitter. Nothing else to say." The image certainly added fuel to the fire regarding the debate over who is the pound-for-pound king, with fans quick to take sides in the replies. Some pointed out the fact that Nurmagomedov only lost 2 rounds over the course of his UFC run and was never suspended for performance-enhancing drugs like Jones. On the flip side, many fans were quick to defend Jones and point out how much longer Bones' reign of dominance has been. Where do you sit on the pound-for-pound king debate? Do you believe that that title still belongs with Jon Jones, or did Khabib Nurmagomedov surpass him when he secured the last win of his career? Give us your pound-for-pound king in the comments down below. Up next, Daniel Cormier and Jorge Masvidal trade barbs on Twitter. Ever since Leon Edwards won the UFC welterweight championship by knocking out Kamaru Usman with a spectacular head kick this past weekend, the newly crowned champ's star power has continued to skyrocket. Following the win, one of the first men to clamor for a shot at the welterweight title was none other than the man who famously hit Edwards with a 3-piece and a soda backstage, the BMF himself, Jorge Masvidal. Masvidal took to Twitter following Edwards' win to proclaim himself the uncrowned king of the welterweight division and informed fans that he would be the welterweight champion soon. It was a move that quickly riled up fans who immediately pointed out the current 3-fight skid that Masvidal is on. And this week, on a recent episode of DC and RC on ESPN, UFC Hall of Famer Daniel Cormier was quick to offer some advice to the newly crowned champion Leon Edwards, saying,
"I'm like, bro, fight him, because for 2 years, when he was the man, right, he could not say your name. He should not fight Jorge Masvidal. See, he literally should just big league him and not even say his name. Because why would you do that when a guy snuck you backstage but then never fought you?"
Despite the fact that DC shifted gears and mentioned how he likes Masvidal, the comments did not sit well with Gamebred, who was quick to respond on Twitter and accused DC of holding a grudge after Masvidal declined to do an interview for Cormier's YouTube channel. Cormier was quick to fire back a tweet of his own reiterating that he likes Masvidal, while throwing a shot at the BMF's manager Malki Kawa, who Cormier accused of posting tweets from Gamebred's account to stir the pot. DC also took the opportunity to tell Masvidal that he should entertain the idea of fighting fellow top-ranked welterweight Gilbert Burns in order to earn himself a title shot. But what do you think? Is Gilbert Burns next up for Jorge Masvidal, or do you want to see Leon Edwards and Jorge Masvidal square off for the welterweight strap and settle their beef once and for all? Next up, Oliveira reveals why he accepted the Makhachev fight in Abu Dhabi. After former UFC lightweight champion Charles Oliveira dispatched up title challenger Justin Gaethje earlier this year in Phoenix, Arizona, UFC president Dana White revealed that Joe Rogan pulled him aside in an attempt to convince him to book Islam Makhachev as Stu Bronx's next opponent. While White initially wanted to rebook a potential scrap between Beneil Dariush and Islam Makhachev, he admitted that he couldn't help but entertain the idea of booking Khabib Nurmagomedov's protege for a title fight with Oliveira. With that being said, it was no secret that Oliveira was eyeing a potential super fight with Conor McGregor for the vacant lightweight championship. Oliveira mentioned several times following his win over Gaethje that he would like to be the one to welcome Conor McGregor back to the octagon when the Irish superstar returns from the horrific leg injury that he sustained last year. Given that many were surprised when it was announced that not only would Oliveira and Makhachev be fighting, but they would also be fighting in Abu Dhabi, where Makhachev will undoubtedly garner the majority of fan support inside inside the arena. While some question why Oliveira would go into hostile territory to earn back a belt that many believe still belongs to him, Du Bronx is looking at the bigger picture. He spoke to ESPN's Brett Okamoto, who asked the champ if he believed that he would defeat Makhachev and then go on to fight McGregor next year. Oliveira responded by saying, "I really do. It's the sole reason why I accepted this fight. I know the more victories, the better the chances, so this is a step towards that fight." With McGregor's manager recently revealing that the former champ would be good to go next year, the timeline certainly lines up with the plans Oliveira envisions. Should Oliveira defeat Makhachev in Abu Dhabi in October, would you like to see the champ defend his belt against McGregor in Brazil in 2023? And before we continue, make sure that you give that like button some love and be sure to subscribe to the MMA Zone for all the latest news. Dana White gives timeline for Colby Covington's return. It's been less than 6 months since fans have seen Colby Covington in the octagon, but many are eager to see him return. Earlier this week, UFC President Dana White spoke to media members at the UFC Apex following a night of fights for his Dana White's Contender Series. And during the scrum, White was asked about numerous things, including his thoughts regarding a potential matchup between the top-ranked welterweights Gilbert Burns and Jorge Masvidal, a scrap that he seemed to entertain the idea of. That led to White being asked about the status of two-time title challenger Colby Covington, who recently defeated bitter rival Jorge Masvidal in a grudge match earlier this year. White gave an update on Covington's status, saying,
"Yeah, no, Colby wants to fight. Colby wants to fight. He's ready to fight, and we're making plans for him here soon."
And this is great news for fight fans as well as Covington, who reportedly sustained injuries after allegedly being sucker punched outside of a Miami restaurant by Masvidal. Following the incident and Masvidal's subsequent arrest, it looked as though both men would be sidelined for some time, as rumors swirled that Masvidal could be facing jail time and Covington could be out until March after undergoing jaw surgery. With Covington's return on the horizon, several names jump out as potential opponents, including top-ranked welterweight Gilbert Burns, who is coming off a decision loss to Khamzat Chimaev earlier this year, and number 6 ranked welterweight Jeff Neal, who called out Covington for a fight on his Twitter account this week. When it comes time for Covington to return to action, who do you want to see him square off against? Play matchmaker in the comments down below and drop your best takes for who Colby should fight next. Last up, Kamaru Usman makes stunning admission to Dana White following UFC 278. This past weekend, Kamaru Usman suffered the first loss of his UFC career as he was knocked out in the final minute of his title fight with Leon Edwards. Going into the 5th round, all signs pointed to Usman successfully defending his belt once again, as many had him up on their scorecards 3 rounds to 1. Edwards' team put on a fantastic display of cornering as they gave Rocky a motivational speech for the ages that led to the Jamaican-born fighter achieving his dream of capturing UFC gold. Following the fight, footage began to emerge of the crowd in the final moments following Usman being knocked out, including clips of Usman's family and daughter distraught by the loss. Despite the pain of losing the title that he had held for 3.5 years, Usman has handled the loss well, giving credit to Edwards during interviews in the days following the fight. After announcing which fighters from this week's Dana White's Contender Series card had been signed, UFC President Dana White spoke to media members to field questions from those in attendance. And during the Q&A, White was asked if he had spoken to former welterweight champion Kamaru Usman in the wake of his defeat. White responded by saying,
"We talked. He's in great spirits. And, you know, obviously he wants the rematch bad. You know, but he said, I can't tell you the weight that's been lifted off me. You know, there's a lot of pressure that goes along with the run that he was on and tying and breaking Anderson's record and, you know, all that stuff. There's a lot of pressure. So, he's looking forward to the rematch. And
with talks now shifting towards a trilogy fight between Edwards and Usman, do you think the Nigerian Nightmare will be able to successfully reclaim his UFC title? Give us your predictions for an eventual trilogy fight down below. Today's video was packed with some juicy stories from the fight world. What are your thoughts about what's going on in MMA? Don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe to MMA Zone to see more videos just like this, and we'll see you next time.